everybody. I loved this project. I hadn't really painted on a black background much in all the times that I've been painting, but I just love how the colors pop on this. So actually, this was just a piece of scrap wood that I was working with, and I sketched out with my paintbrush a rabbit face, of course, and then I put some pink in the ears and in the nose so that part is solid when you look at it. And then we're going to use a comb brush. Now I've used a couple of different brushes in this. I had just recently found this comb brush, and it did the job, but I also like the rake brush, and I like a flat brush that I can use at an angle. But this was the comb brush here on the ears, and I just started from the outside of the ear and pulled it out. So you want to make sure that your paint is watered down quite a bit in order to get those wispy hairs come out there. And then I knew I wanted it dark around the eyes, so I'm keeping the white away from that area. Now it's going to take probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 coats of white to get this to how I ended up with the final product. You'll notice on the whiskers that I go out and over, and then right there underneath his nose, it's coming straight down. So you want to go in the direction that a rabbit his hair would be. Later on, I went back and I made these ears even a little bit bigger. And I tapped in more paint right here around the muzzle part of his face, because on a natural rabbit it is wider in that area. Come down a little bit between where the eyes are going to be. And then I was kind of not sure what I wanted to put here. You could put some spring flowers around his neck, would be really pretty. I ended up deciding to go with a couple of carrots. I went around that exterior of the pink with some more white just to let it show up more. You're going to be surprised at how much you have to, how many coats you have to put on this black. So then, since I went in and base coated my eyes with black, I want those white rims on each side so that it's separating his eyes from the hair. Using the bottom of your paintbrush, put in the pupils. You want those to be really white because it is so hard to tell where the hair starts and the eyes start. Then I'm going to give another coat to all the pink areas. And then shade in. You could use a darker red. I probably would have chosen something a little bit darker, just because we have such a dark background. But it still turned out cute. And then a little bit of the red at the bottom V part of his nose, using a liner brush to really make it stand out more. It's harder to get those little lips on there to be both the same size, so take your time when you do that. I'd thought about lightening up some of the black part of the eye, so I dry brushed a little bit in there. As you go over, each time you put a new layer in, you want to make sure that you're not covering it solid, because that's what's making this pop out, is seeing some of that black still underneath there. Now I'm going to pull some more white out right there on his cheeks that are supposed to be more fluffy than the rest of him. And then I shaded underneath the nose and the mouth with gray, up underneath his chin. But I really like how that comb brush makes that hair really fine and curly. I think in this part I'm using a flat brush though and pulling more hair out just to try to get it done faster. Pull up a few little hairs there between his ears. So basically I could have made this video go a little bit faster because it's just repetitive work. Layer upon layer. I even like some of the hair coming down into his eyes. Add a little bit of a highlight up there on the top of his nose. And I shaded around the eyes with a darker gray. It's just making them stand out better. I know it seems to be tedious going over these over and over, but it really does make a difference in your final outcome. When the paint is wet, you want to make sure that it's dry before you go over it on another coat, because otherwise you're going to be mixing wet paint with wet paint and your strokes aren't going to come out as nice. You're just going to end up with a solid piece. So make sure you dry them in between. So this is where I decided that I would go ahead and put carrots in. You could even put small Easter eggs. I wanted mine to be more of a spring rabbit than an Easter rabbit. So that's why I went with the carrots. And I want them chunky. I don't want them uniform. But you have to base coat them in because orange is a hard color. You couldn't cover the black with just orange. So you have to let that white dry, add in your orange. And then I tried different brushes for the green tops of my carrots. I can't tell you that I liked one better than the other. I tried the rake brush, the flat brush, and the comb brush. But again, you're having to layer on here because that green is just really soaking into the background. And if you walk away from it for about 5 or 10 minutes, you'll come back and you'll see that you have to add another coat. And what I've decided to do with mine is I will sand the edges where all that black is. I also went in and dry brushed. You can see on the sides of the ear and in between his ears. I dry brushed some white in there to break up some of that black. So then I'll go around, sand the edges, and then I'll drill a couple holes at the top and use a thick jute or a thin rope, either one, put knots in the front to hang it. Then I decided I wanted a little mouth in there, so you have to let that pink dry, go in with some, I should have used darker red, and then I ended up going back in with some black and filling it in a little bit more, so it wasn't real bright. But I think he turned out to be totally adorable. I'm going to try some more projects on a black background. Oh, don't forget your whiskers. Thanks for watching, guys.